let's talk tension for just a second. Tension's probably the one thing sewing machines get blamed for the most. Have you ever done it? Oh, the tension's off when you've been sewing along. And you've probably seen something like this. Isn't that awful? That's usually on the back of your fabric, and you get that big, hairy nest of threads, and it sounded awful, but it looked fine on the front side. It really just doesn't work well. First off, tension, when you open the machine, it's going to be set at 4. Now, how many of you were told don't touch the tension on older machines from grandma's age or so? What we find is that it is actually okay to touch the tension. We actually have from time to time little fingers that come visit our store, and they love dials and buttons, and they push them and turn them. And guess what? All we do is we roll it back to 4. How easy is that? So when you're working with threads, if you have the same thread in your needle as you do in your bobbin, you really should not have to alter your tension. That should be, if something's not looking right, you either don't have it threaded correctly, the needle's not the right size for the thread you've selected, or your bobbin's in backwards. There's a lot of things that you should check first before you start turning the tension dial. The time I'm turning the tension dial is when I have thread that maybe I have a different way to thread in my needle than I have in my bobbin. That's usually the case when I'm using, say, a decorative thread. Usually sometimes these are thicker, and so I don't have something as thick in my bobbin. If I find that my threads are pulling to one side, like maybe they're pulling to the back side and I don't want them to be back there, you can almost see the color from the top showing on the back side, that means the bobbin's too tight. Now the bobbin does not actually have a tension dial we change. That is kind of a set number. So the only change we would do is that we'd actually tighten the top tension. Now tightening it means more than just a little eat of the dial. You're definitely wanting to actually turn it a whole number or a 1.5 numbers worth just to see if that you're actually going the right way. It's either going to make it worse or it's going to make it better. The cool thing is if it's making it better, you're going to find that you're going the right direction. Maybe you can turn it a little bit more and really get everything fixed the way you want it. And if you were going the wrong way and it needed to go the other way, well, now you know, turn it the other way. So it's really not a lot of hard understanding here. But let's talk about what gave you this nest, because that's probably the most common thing that we have. Whether you've threaded it with the presser foot down, that means that inside here there are 2 tension discs, and they were closed when you threaded it. So the thread didn't get down where it needed to be. When the presser foot is up, when you thread the machine, that thread will sink all the way down. Then when you lower the presser foot, the thread will have proper tension on the thread and will be ready to use. So this means that there was no tension whatsoever on that thread, and it grabbed it, pulled it all the way down. The thing is most people will look at this, and because that was on the back side, they'll think it's the bobbin's the problem. And guess what? You already know it was more of a top issue. Leave the bobbin where it is, rethread the top with the foot up, and once again, that little test, remember if you take the thread out from the needle and you're pulling it when the foot is up, it should be fairly easy to pull, but as soon as you lower it down and that needle bends when you pull it, the thread doesn't come through any further, that's when you know you have it properly threaded and the thread is down in those tension discs. So that's pretty much all you need to know about tension. And really, leave it where it is. Use good quality thread. I will tell you, if you're using cheap thread, old thread, that might not really be the problem, but it's going to try to, the tensions is something that you might be able to fix it. Just use good quality thread. Your machine deserves it, and you don't need the headaches.